We'll call the Tuesday, January 8th, 2019 regular meeting of council to order. It's 7 p.m. Item 2.1, adoption of the agenda for the January 8th, 2019 regular meeting of council, please. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor G. Any additions? And there be to include an additional item under section 15. Any additional items? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Item 3.1, public comments on items considered by council as part of the approved agenda. The following conditions apply to all public comment. Comments and questions will be limited to 2 minutes each. Comments and questions will only be regarding an item on the current council agenda. Comments and questions put forth must be on topics which are not normally dealt with by village staff as a matter of routine. Individuals must state their name and area of residence for identification purposes. Questions shall be addressed through me, the chair, and answers given likewise. This is not time for debate with or by individual council members, so behave yourselves, or staff members. No commitments shall be made by council in replying to a question. Matters that may require action of council shall be referred to a future meeting of the council. And bylaws and temporary use permits that have been considered at a public hearing but have not yet received final approval will not be discussed during public comment. Are there any public comments? Really? A second time. Are there any public comments? Yes.
Thank you, Mayor Torgerson. I understand.
Just your name and your area of residence, please.
Yes, my name is Peter Fox. I reside in Valemount. I understand that there's going to be some discussion concerning viability of certain jobs, perhaps at the Valemount Learning Centre this evening. If you would, I'd just like to say that our domicile is here for today, aspiring for tomorrow, and sometimes maybe the need to fight for things as required. So I want to say thank you and good luck, and I've just got a couple of lines that I wrote down and wanted to say, if I can just open this quickly. Yes, I did prepare. Good evening, councillors. It's 2019, fresh new council and faces, and it's showtime. So Valemount, I believe, needs to ensure that there is no erosion with respect to the quality of programming services delivered at or through the Valemount Learning Centre. There might be a new contractor delivering services, foundational assets to this community growth, and perhaps personal growth and means of provisions ahead for individuals. Having spent time preparing lessons as part of a Grand Prairie English as second language and immigration services team, delivering these in the 1980s during a time of Iranian, Philippine, and Vietnamese immigration, I gained some sense of the client's needs, the needs of new arrivals. So interruptions, inefficiencies, lack of any smooth synergy and transition for tutors and their clients during the learning curve to provide and deliver existing programs or custom tailored ones already developed more than generic to meet the local needs presents challenges, not surmountable, but the learning curve for both can be frustrating if not smoothly transitioned. Perhaps with further losses of expertise or even desire to remain engaged in the programs because core education proficiency in English, math, even handling currency, life skills are not the only challenges, and the learning curve to independence and proficiency. So change of a service provider might challenge, perhaps even further financially encumber and put burden on staff, local volunteers at learning centres who give their talent.
Thank you, Mr. Fox.
hearts. Can I have 30 seconds?
Thank you, Mr. Fox. We're limited to 2 minutes, please.
Okay.
I believe the message has been received.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Thanks, Peter.
Okay.
Rushmere is standing to, there's a couple of seats up here if you wish. Further comments? Moving on, motion please, council, to receive the public comments. Councillor G, Councillor MacLean, all in favor? Carried. Adoption of item 4.1, adoption of the minutes of the previous regular meeting of council. The recommendation that the minutes of the December 11th, 2018 regular meeting of council be adopted as presented. Councillor Pearson, Councillor Blanchette. Any errors or omissions found? All in favor? Carried. Item 5.1, I think. Item 5.1, we have a delegation from the Valemount Learning Center to provide some information regarding future changes to the center. Are the presenters here? They are. Just your names, the organization, and the area that you represent.
My name is Riette Kenkel, and I'm with the Valemount Learning Society, and I'm the Executive Director.
I'm Jen Applebaum. I'm with the Valemount Learning Society, and I'm the president.
And I'm Wendy Dyson, and I'm the treasurer of the Valemount Learning Society.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you. So, as I mentioned already, my name is Riette Kenkel, and I'm the Executive Director with the Valemount Learning Society. I've been with the Learning Society for almost 10 years, and Jen Applebaum, our president, has been with the Learning Society on the board for 16 years now, and Wendy Dyson for 17 years, and was also an employee when we first incorporated in 1994. So we have a lot of experience with this, and I'd like to also thank our staff. A lot of our staff are here today as well. So thank you for allowing us the opportunity to present to you today. As you may have read in one of the local papers, as of April 1st, 2019, the Valemount Learning Society will no longer hold the contract to provide employment services for Valemount. What this means is that people will lose jobs, money will leave our community, and the Valemount Learning Centre will likely be closing the doors to our downtown offices. In our presentation, I'll be providing you with a bit of background information and an overview of our present situation. Our treasurer, Wendy, will share some financial and historical information, and our president, Jen, will discuss next steps. It seems that our federal and provincial governments are changing how they provide services by regionalizing programs and centralizing the management of programs. This, of course, minimizes costs overall, but for the smaller rural communities like Valemount, it also minimizes services and jobs at the local level. The Valemount Learning Society saw it happen with our federal English as a Second Language, or ESL, services, as well as our provincial settlement and integration services, with programming for both of those moving to Prince George. The recent procurement process for BC Employment Services started this past summer. We learned that Valemount would become part of the Prince George catchment, and 4 proponents were selected by the government to submit a proposal to provide services. The catchment included Prince George, Mackenzie, McBride, and Valemount, and the Learning Society was too small an organization to even be considered as a proponent. I just understand that for the last 7 years, we've been a contractor with the provincial government to provide services for the Valemount catchment, and we've subcontracted with other organizations as well to provide those services. So it wouldn't have been new to us to get involved at that level. However, with all 4 proponents contacting us to discuss working together, we did feel positive, given our local experience and expertise, that we would eventually enter into a subcontract with the successful proponent once the government made their selection. Now, a few weeks prior to the proposal's due date, one of the proponents with whom we had been working contacted us and told us they decided to go in a different direction and would no longer be including us in their proposal. This was, of course, upsetting to us, but we were hopeful that one of the 3 other proponents would be successful. In December, we were informed by the other 3 proponents that unfortunately number 4 was successful. From what we understand, services will continue to be available for Valemount, but we do not know who the local service provider will be, nor do we know how or where those services will be located or provided. We do know that this change will result in the loss of 4 full-time jobs for the Valemount Learning Society and will reduce another job from full-time to part-time. When considering their future, 2 of our staff have actually considered leaving town altogether. The successful proponent managed to secure contracts for Prince George, Burnaby, and Kelowna, yet their head office is nowhere near any of these communities. With these larger centres to manage, one can only guess that Valemount is likely low on their priority list. In the summer, one of their managers happened to be passing through Valemount, so she stopped in to see our facility. At that time, she commented that she couldn't understand why such a small community would even need a facility like ours. She said this to one of our staff. I'm not saying these are bad people, not at all. I'm just pointing out that they do not appear to understand our small rural community's employment needs. Thankfully, the government is requiring that there be a physical employment office in Valemount. We have not yet heard of any official announcements about the future of employment services for Valemount, but with the knowledge that there will be a full-time office somewhere in Valemount, there may be a possibility that one of our staff may be able to apply for employment with the new provider as a case manager. However, no jobs have been posted to date. The Valemount Learning Society has provided employment services for our community for over 20 years, and our recent Work BC contract has been our main contract for 7 years. Not only has it supported the Work BC programming, but it has also provided the foundation on which we have built and sustained many other programs, as well as spearheading and supporting 2 new societies. And now I'll ask Wendy Dyson to continue.
Okay. So, in the past, the Valemount Learning Society has always started programs in response to community need. Now, Riet mentioned that we were incorporated in 1994, but actually our roots started in 1984 when the College of New Caledonia closed its Valemount campus. And the Canoe Robson Education Development Association, commonly known as CREDA, was started to provide continuing education in both Valemount and McBride. We operated continuing education on that basis for another year, or a number of years. But then in the 90s, when computers were becoming mainstream and everybody needed computer training, we recognized the community need for a computer lab where we could provide that training. So at that point, the Valemount branch of CREDA broke off and formed the Valemount Learning Society, and we got the funding for a computer lab, and we offered computer training. Then the need for employment services became evident. And so we found the funding for that and started offering the employment services locally. In our process of providing employment counseling, we found that there were young people who needed job training in order to get good jobs. So we started running Youth Service Canada projects for a number of years. Then we identified the need, again through our clients, for literacy services. So we found funding for literacy and ESL programs. Most recently, for a number of years, there's been a community need for a youth center, and the Valemount Learning Society has got funding for youth programs and established a youth center. So as you can see, our history has been just recognizing a need and then providing the service to fill that need. The employment program, which will be ending in March, was offered on a fee-for-service basis. So we operated it as a business model, receiving a fixed operating fee from the government. Now, it's a little bit unique in Valemount because in most communities, this program is run by private businesses, and the profit from the business of offering employment services goes to the pocket of the business owner. In Valemount, we operate it as a social enterprise nonprofit. So those profits from operations went back to support our organization and back into the community. So over the term of running these employment programs on this basis, and with really good fiscal management, we've been able to slowly build up our savings. And when we were trying to determine how we should use those savings to help the community, we identified the need to bring people into the community. And as a result, we established Valemount College with a plan to attract students, create good jobs, and bring new residents to Valemount. Then that, discussing where the students were going to live, made us realize that there's a need for housing. And as a result, the Valemount Affordables Rental Society was formed. So we've invested approximately $400,000 back into the community with those two organizations. So after April 1st, our operation will look very different. We'll continue to offer adult literacy services, including some English as a second language settlement support. We'll continue to offer continuing education services, and our youth programs will continue until at least June 2022. However, it's going to be tricky because we don't have the broad administrative support that we had with the employment program. So we don't have the support to properly oversee the program. So we'll be moving to a much smaller location. We don't know where, and staffing will be cut back considerably. So that's our situation at this point, and I'll let Jen tell you about steps moving forward.
Hello. So going forward, we do have some options. We have reached out to the fourth proponent, the successful proponent, and have not yet received any feedback as to why they chose not to utilize our local expertise for local services. So we haven't gotten any feedback on why we were passed up. So we can't adjust anything because we don't know what they're planning. We're quite certain that agreements have not yet been signed, though. So until there is an official announcement, we will not give up hope. However, to be realistic, we are planning for a new future. Rather than trying to find grants around which we can frame new programming, we're choosing to continue with the same model under which we've always worked. We're going to try and keep our focus on the community and determine what the community needs, and then look for funding to make that happen. We intend to conduct a community survey to collect information on needs and interests for new or expanded community services and programming. And then once we have that data, we will research feasibility to determine if we can move forward with that need. We also own land. I don't know if anyone knew that or how many people knew that. It's one of the investments we made as a nonprofit, and we plan to make use of it. So if we can find a good community program that needs land, we can do our best to fit that in. So although our focus and area of expertise has been education and employment, we are willing to change direction if necessary. We are eager to hear from the community, and we're open to any and all ideas. So to recap, our mandate is as follows. A, to provide for educational services in the Valemount area, to develop and enhance Valemount's educational opportunities, information, and technology. B, to provide recreational programs and services in the Valemount area. C, to cooperate with other community organizations and groups in matters of community and regional concern. And D, to cooperate with federal and provincial agencies in the provision of necessary community services and programs. So it's quite broad, and we think we can fit community needs in to our existing mandate. Our mission statement is very simple: developing individuals, building community. So So it is our hope that our village will support us in any way possible. And we understand that it will have to start with open and honest conversations and sharing of information and ideas. The ongoing move by the provincial and federal governments to centralize services in larger centers is resulting in job losses and the downsizing or even elimination of services in small and rural communities. We wanted Council to be aware of this latest contract restructuring, which will redirect any potential profit from local employment services that we've been able to then reinvest in our community. It'll redirect that to a corporation located in a large urban center. We urge Council to petition provincial and federal governments to impress upon them the importance and the need for services that are based in and run from our community. Because of these cutbacks, the Valemount Learning Society will likely close our downtown offices, dollars will leave the community, and well-paying full-time jobs will be lost. However, the Valemount Learning Society is not shutting down. As mentioned earlier, we will continue to run our other programs, although it will probably be from another location. We have invested in land, so we are invested in the community. We have money in the bank. We're retaining our executive director for the purposes of exploring opportunities for future growth. And we have an experienced and passionate board of directors to ensure that we will do everything we possibly can to continue to be successful for Valemount. So thank you for allowing us the opportunity to share our story.
Thank you very much. Motion to receive the delegation, please. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Pearson. Questions and/or comments to the presenters? Councillor Blanchette.
I'd like to thank you for all the years and all the progress and all of the hard work that you guys have done for this village. I'm sorry to hear all this. I don't like to lose people. I don't like to lose a valuable resource that we have. I'm hoping that partnerships are something that can be looked into, and fingers crossed. So thank you very much.
Any questions from council? The program purview is overseen by Jobs, Trades and Technology. That'd be Minister Ralston.
Ministry of Social Development and...
Social Development?
They just changed Ministry of Social Development and Poverty Reduction. They changed all the names under the new...
That's ironic.
Yeah, yeah. And a portion from JT, Jobs, Trades and... the
Jobs, Trades and Technology?
Yeah. Jobs, Tourism and Skills Training.
Poverty Reduction.
I just want to add, although the government says that they're requiring that an office be set up here, so they're requiring someone be sitting somewhere. We don't know what that'll look like. There won't be the computer lab, maybe the open public space that the Valemount Learning Center has provided. But I think what we're losing the most is the umbrella that funding was able to provide to all the other small programs, so we could address what our community of 1,000 people might need in a very direct way. So that's going to be lost. If a company from a city that walked through Valemount once and said, wow, this is a really big office, they won't be able to respond to community need like we have. So I think that's going to be the biggest loss.
My other question is, I've been ferociously completing some notes, but could you provide me with your speaking notes?
Yes.
So that council can have a copy?
To
By all means. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any further questions?
I'll also email you an electronic copy.
That'd be great, thank you. Any other questions to the presenters? All in favor of receipt of the delegation, Councillor, carried. Thank you very much. Item 7.1, we have a request from the Columbia Basin Alliance for Literacy to waive the rental fees for Seaball's use of the community hall for a physical literacy program subject to the parameters set out in the Village of Valemount Policy number 12, and policy number 32, which were attached, regarding fees and cleaning requirements. What does council's wish? Councillor Blanchette?
So first of all, I'm just wondering if they're getting a grant to run this program, because they are running it for more than a one of. So it's an 8-week program. So do we know if they're getting a grant to run this? I know it's only 2 hours, but it's 2 hours over 8 weeks. We do require it to be cleaned, and that would be at taxpayer expense. So,
Agreed.
do we know anything?
I do not know that, but we do require a damage deposit, and if they don't provide the cleaning fee, they're required to clean it, and if it's not to our satisfaction, we receive the damage deposit. So
there
that
is
part is covered, but we can certainly check into the grant, see if they haven't done anything like that.
Do we know if they're charging for this event?
Unless she said in the letter.
She did not.
Okay, and one more thing, the damage deposit would cover the cleaning rental if we,
Correct.
so, okay.
Yeah, just in the opening sentence there, Councillor, is preparing to fund a program for physical literacy. I'm not sure. No grants were ever
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
exposed.
Okay.
Councillor Blanchette?
So I'll move that we waive the fees, as long as we receive that damage deposit, and it's made clear to them that they do clean up after themselves, children and running and stuff like that.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Pearson? Any discussion, further discussion on the matter? All in favor? Carried. Does anybody wish to pull anything out of the reading file? Item 9.1, November 2018 accounts payable report, that the November 2018 accounts payable report be received for information. Councillor Pearson, Councillor G, any discussion? All in favor of receipt? Carried. Item 9.2, that the December 2018 accounts payable report be received for information. Councillor MacLean, Councillor G, any discussion on the December 2018 accounts payable report? All in favor? Carried. Item 9.3, building inspector report be received for information. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Pearson, any discussion? Councillor Blanchette?
It's nice to see that progress is being made, you know.
Further discussion? All in favor of receipt? Carried. Item 9.5, the 2019 NCLGA conference being hosted by Williams Lake this year, May 7 to 10. That attendees be confirmed by a council resolution tonight. Who's going and who's not?
Interested?
Yeah, I recommend if employment and or work situations can cater, that you try to always go to the first kind of area association conference and then get a feel for it. And then, you know, the next 3 years you can go, what is that signed up for? Or I really like that seminar. I think I'm going to go to the one in wherever. But I talked to the director of finance. Moving forward, the year one of an election term, finances will be found for area association, charm school, and UBCM. So I recommend we all go. Councillor Blanchette?
It's a long time till May, so I know there's a time frame that we can cancel if need be, and so I would recommend that we can book the slots for 5 and then wait and see what happens closer to May.
Seconder? Councillor Pearson? Any further discussion? Councillor Pearson?
In the reading too, it also mentioned the CAO attending. Would that be something that we make a decision on, or?
Councillor Blanchette.
In past, the CAOs have mentioned that the NCLGA is not really catered to them. They have CAO seminar, other things that they attend that they get more out of, so food for thought.
Okay, yeah, no, just in reading it
Yeah.
did mention them, so. Okay.
Councillor Blanchette. It was moved and seconded that 5 bookings be made for NCLGA in Williams Lake. Further discussion? All in favor? Yes, Councillor
Just a
Jean.
question about reading the draft agenda that they provided. They have Monday, May 6th on there as well. But the agenda says 7 to 10. Is that a
Tour
typo?
or a
no.
day-long seminar?
It's a day-long seminar, and I would recommend that 1 or 2 of us be booked for that. So we would have to go in on the 6th. I've attended 4 of those, and they're absolutely worthwhile.
Yeah, and the Tuesdays at an area association, it's a pretty early start, Councillor. So you'll want to be there Monday evening by the latest, if you're not attending the Monday seminar. Further discussion? All in favor of booking the 5? Carried. Item 9.5, we have the Air Quality Task Force. Isn't it the Clean Air Task Force?
It's supposed to be clean, but maybe we could change it.
All right. Well, we can. The terms of reference, that the attached terms of reference for the Council's Air Quality Task Force be adopted, or that this report be received and filed. What's Council's wish? Councillor Blanchette?
Comment, I'd like to thank staff for setting this up. And could we change the name, please, to Clean Air Task Force?
We need a seconder on a main motion. Councillor Pearson. And you wanted to change the name being a second motion within, no?
I'll just amend it.
There you go. I didn't want to do that half moon thing. Discussion on the terms of reference. Hearing none. All in favor of the term of receiving, that the Clean Air Task Force be adopted? Carried. Item 9.6, investing in Canada infrastructure grant application. Motion, please, that an application to the Investing in Canada infrastructure program for replacement of the Dogwood sewage lift station in Valemount be approved, and that the ability to fund ongoing maintenance of the new plant and related facilities be confirmed. Councillor Pearson, Councillor G. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Item 9.7, we have a request from the Valemount Elementary School that Public Works Department be directed to install crosswalks at the intersection of Elm Street and 7th Avenue, or the other recommendation that this report be received and filed. It's council's wish. Councillor G.
I drive through that intersection pretty much every morning when I go to work. I'm surprised there isn't crosswalks there. It's already a school zone. And hearing that there are near misses, that's very concerning.
Sounds like a motion to me.
I would like to make a motion that we move forward with crosswalks there.
Second. Councillor Pearson. Discussion? All in favor? Carried. 9.8, that a time and for the parcel tax roll review panel, that the time and place of the sitting of the parcel tax roll review panel be established. There's a administrative note here that the review panel meeting date must be scheduled between March 18th and the 29th, 2019 inclusive, in order for legislated advertising requirements to be met. Councillor Blanchette.
I think we all answered on the emails the afternoon of the 19th, correct? Yep.
Afternoon of
So
March
2:15?
19th. Yep, 2:15. In this room?
Yep.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Pearson. Discussion? All in favor? Carried. Item 10.1, the Village of Valemount Development Procedures Bylaw, number 789, 2018. The recommendation is that bylaw number 789, cited as the Village of Valemount Development Procedures Bylaw number 789, 2018 be reconsidered and adopted. Councillor Pearson, Councillor MacLean, discussion. I was a big fan of those flow charts. I like seeing that. I like very visual. Further discussion? All in favor? Carried. Item 11.1, council reports. Councillor MacLean.
Okay. I have no voice tonight, so bear with me. I have participated in 2 teleconferences in mid-December. One was with the Columbia Basin Regional Advisory Committee, where we had an update on topics discussed at past Columbia Basin Regional Advisory meetings, and we received the results of the community meetings held in 2018. The other telecon I participated in was closely related. The Columbia River Treaty Local Governments Committee telecon served to introduce new local government representatives to the process and update the group on negotiations. I also attended the first meeting of the Air Quality Task Force on December 18th. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor G.
I am very lucky that I didn't have a lot to report. I enjoyed my Christmas holidays very much. Other than attending some Christmas parties and the village lunch, I was very thankful to have some rest and relaxation.
Very cool. Councillor Pearson.
I've had some correspondence with the village property owner regarding some bylaw issues. Discussed with staff and recommended the property owner come in and make an appointment and discuss it in the office. And this afternoon, tourism meeting.
Councillor Blanchette.
December 12th, we had our first Valemount and District Fire and Rescue Community Consultation Committee meeting. And there will be an increase. Our fire hall is in desperate need of updating. It hasn't been updated, equipment and stuff for years. But we did mention to the incremental raises to come slowly after this first one. So we did stress that and make sure. The 13th, I had a housing meeting, and on that note, I want to remind everybody and get everybody that lives within the village and outside of the village to attend the housing's open house January 15th, 7 o'clock at the community hall. It's imperative that everybody show up to this, because this is what housing does Valemount need? What are we going to need? We're going to need everything. So we need to have everybody's input. Okay, so again, that's January 15th, 7 o'clock at the community hall. And then on the 18th, we had our first clean air quality meeting, setting up the terms of reference, setting out what we hope to establish, what we hope to accomplish. I've sent out some emails, gotten some feedback. I've really been noticing the idling in our village, even though it hasn't been cold. People running into the grocery store and idling. Somebody reported back to me half an hour of idling. They were approached and the response was not great. So we just need to be cognizant that we're all breathing that in, and it adds to everything else. You've already warmed up your car, you've driven to the store, shut it off, run in, do your stuff, and then drive home. I believe that's it.
Thank you. The 12th, I joined Councillor Blanchette at the BFRD CCC. I had various, I've emailed Ms. Shepherd my schedule, but various caribou protection Section 11 meetings with Northern Mayor's chairs. 3 of those over the Christmas holidays. I had a regional board on Thursday the 20th. And the 19th, I had meetings with MP Zimmer, Northern Health, and MLA Bond. Yeah, I'm here before you now. Motion to receive council reports. Councillor Pearson, Councillor G. Any discussion on those? Any questions for the other members? All in favor? Carried. Item 13.1, the file tracker, the project file tracker, that the project file tracker be received. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor G. Any discussion on the project file tracker? All in favor? Carried. No motion required for the calendar of events. Item 15.1, a notice to proceed in camera meeting on that council proceed to an in-camera meeting, council meeting for consideration of 2 items per section 91A and C of the community charter to discuss matters related to A, personal information about an identifiable individual who holds or is being considered for a position as an officer, employee, or agent of the municipality, or another position appointed by the municipality, and C, labor relations and other employee relations. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor G. Discussion, all in favor? Carried. We'll now proceed in camera.